He said, no, I can build better. If you can build a better one, then maybe for another king you will build a more famous mosque. So Hussein Shah pushed him off the roof of the mosque to his bed. Then you cannot make anything. So when he was dying, then the architect said, at least name the mosque after me. So Hussein Shah pushed the architect off the roof. And then he turned to the second in charge. Another what? Who's going to ask? Another smoothie? Another blanket? What do you want? But he was too afraid to ask. Then with the second in command, he ran away. And he was just moving like a madman. No, what does he want? I don't know what he needs. Then he met Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami said, oh, obviously it means when he saw the Muslim was in so much distress, my dear brother, how can I help? The architect told the history. That means bring another architectural team. So Sanatana Goswami arranged new architects, new builders, stonemasons, and sent. So when the second in charge came with a whole new team to build something new, then Hussein Shah said, you are not intelligent enough to understand what I meant. Who told you to do this? I met one Brahmin, 2 brothers. So Hussein Shah requested those 2 brothers who come in my service. Rup Sanatan said no. Then Hussein Shah said, if you do not, I will kill every Brahmin in Bengal. So to protect the Brahmanas, Rupa Sanatan became engaged in the service of the Muslim government. That means almost become a Muslim. Even their names were changed. Sakir Malik and Dabir Khas. So those 2 brothers had good fortune. They met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Mahaprabhu came to Ramkeli. On his way to Vrindavan, we discussed that last night. And Mahaprabhu blessed the 2 brothers that they would give up all material connection and come to his full-time self. So Rupa Goswami, he escaped very easily. He took his wealth, half he gave to family members, a quarter he gave to the Vaishnavas. He gave to the Vaishnavas. Why would he give half to the family members? Half he gave to the Vaishnavas, a quarter he gave to the family members, and a quarter he kept for emergency. At that time he was not fully renounced. He kept his 1/4 of the wealth with one respectable Brahmana for an emergency. Later Sanatana Goswami would use that money to bribe his way out of jail. Then Rupa Goswami left everything. And he came to Prayag where he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We will hear what instructions Mahaprabhu gave him. And how Sanatana Goswami escaped from jail, we will hear after we hear Rup Shiksha. Therefore, Prayag is located at the confluence, the conjunction of the Yamuna, the Ganga, and the Saraswati. Now Saraswati is not present, we cannot see it, but she is flowing. Sometimes she manifests on full moon or something like that. Just like Krishna's mercy is always there, sometimes it manifests, a special, that's like a goddess. So, at Prayag, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thousands of persons were following him. And Rupa came with his younger brother, Anupama. Anupama is the father of Sri Jiva Goswami. Anupama was a devotee of Lord Ram, but by the influence of Rupa and Sanatana especially, and by the influence of Mahaprabhu, his mind was changed. They tried to change his mind to devotion towards Krishna. But they could not change his mind, because everyone has one sthayi, one permanent relationship. So both brothers, Rupa Goswami and Sri Vallabh, also known as Anupama, the 2 brothers saw the Lord and they did dandavats from a distance. They were feeling too much humble to come close to the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, it is not possible to describe Krishna's mercy to you because you have given up this well of stool called material life. with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a very learned Brahmin. His name was Vallabhacharya. Have you heard of Pushti Sampradaya? He's in charge. So their bhajan is almost exactly like the Gaudiya Vaishnava's bhajan, Raganuga bhajan. Why? Because he took Diksha from Gadadhar. So Vallabhacharya was a great learned person. So when Mahaprabhu called the two brothers, come, come, I want to embrace, then out of humility they were saying, we are untouchable. We are adrisya and asparsha. We should not be seen, we should not be touched. Then out of humility they were. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, that is not correct. And he quoted a verse from Krishna, Namad bhaktas chatur vede mad bhaktas swapachat priya tasmai dehnatakarayam sapujo asmiya. Krishna says, one may be born in a very high Brahminical family, but he is not a devotee, he is not dear to me. But one may be born in a family of swapach. Swapach means those persons who eat raw dog. I was living in China one time. Last time I was saying. Swapach means those who eat dogs. There was like a silence in the room. Just as a matter of interest, how many have eaten dog? But cooked dog. But even such persons can be purified by the association of Vaishnavas by chanting them. Anyway, eating dogs are better than eating cow. Shastra gives permission for eating dog, but Shastra never gives permission for eating cow. So we have an even worse situation. But no problem. Tasmai greham tatodega. They are so powerful, they are so pure, those who chant the holy name. Whatever they give, you should accept. So puja so asmiya. Krishna said, they are as worshipful as I am. Therefore, to judge a Vaishnava by their birth, this is very wrong, this is one offense. Thakur Bhaktivinoda told a nice history. There's smarter Brahmanas, the seminal Brahmanas, when they see the Vaishnavas also wearing the Brahman thread, they burn in envy. There was so much there against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, caste Goswamis in Vrindavan. So we should not expect any kindness from them. So, they think, oh, they were born like that, how they could become Brahmins? Impossible, impossible. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur told, Saraswati Thakur told a nice history. There was one small boy, his name was Pancha. Hey, where is Pancha? There was one boy, we'll call him Pankaj, but his name was like, not quite Pankaj, something like Panchang, something like that, I cannot remember. Funny little Bengali name. So of course, when he was small, he used to run around the village with no clothes, right, like everyone does. So Pankaj was a very good boy, he went to school, he studied, he went to high school, he went to college, he went to law school, finally he became a high court judge. So the other villagers, they were burning in envy. How could Pankaj become a high court judge? So even though they went to the court and saw that Pankaj had become a high court judge, they said, oh, how impossible, naked Pankaj could become a high court judge. Understand? Because they were all thinking when he was young, he was running around with no clothes. Just like our mother, when she was young, she was also running around with no clothes. What? That means when she's old, she should also run around with no clothes. So Saraswati Thakur said, we should not look at the beginning. Sit on a pillow, you'll get cold. So, what we were doing when we were young, we had no ignorance. Why you should think of that? You should look at the end result. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave those arguments, Krishna's own arguments. Also, Prahlad Maharaj says, Vibrat Visadguna Chalanada Vindam. One may be a Brahmin equipped with all 12 Brahminical qualities, but he is not a devotee. He cannot purify himself, or to speak of his family members. But my devotee, even though born in a low dog-eating family, he can purify the whole world. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke those verses. That time, Sri Rupa Goswami offered the pranam to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Namo Maha Vadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvishay Namaha. Where's Subal? Can someone go get Subal? I offer my pranams to that most magnificent incarnation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna, therefore he can bestow the wealth of Krishna to the three worlds. Therefore Mahaprabhu, he sat Rupa and Anupam down. What news you have of Sanatana? Sanatana Goswami, because he was the Prime Minister of Hussain Shah. Hussain Shah was going to invade Orissa. He wanted to take Sanatana Goswami with him. Therefore Sanatana Goswami avoided government service by pretending he was sick. But he was not sick. He would call 20 or 30 learned brahmanas and they would be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam there. So when Hussain Shah made a surprise inspection to Sanatana Goswami's house, and Sanatana Goswami was not sick, he was discussing Bhagavatam, he said to Sanatana, come with me to Orissa. Sanatana Goswami said, no, you are going to Utkal to cause pain to the Supreme Personality, I cannot go. Hussain Shah had so much affection for Sanatana Goswami. Therefore, he put Sanatana Goswami in jail. And Sanatana Goswami, he bribed his way out of jail using the money he'd kept by Rupa Goswami. So he said to the jailer, you are a greatly pious man, one who helps another person in distress gets the mercy of Allah. And just to help grease the wheels of your infinite compassion, I'm going to give you 10,000 gold coins. So the goaler was greedy, just to help the feelings of mercy in his heart. Here's a few $1,000,000. Sanatana Goswami said, don't worry, you tell everyone I went to Mecca. No, you don't worry, I am going to Mecca, you'll never see me again in India. And if anyone asks what happened, just say I committed suicide by jumping in the Ganga with my chains. So Sanatana Goswami escaped from jail. So Mahaprabhu said, Sanatana has already been released from jail, he will very soon meet me. One Brahmana invited Mahaprabhu for dinner and lunch, and Balabhadra Bhattacharya also kept the remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his two brothers. So Vallabhacharya was a high-class Brahmin, a great learned scholar, also he was Vaishnava. Therefore, he also invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house at Prayag. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was crossing the river, he began dancing in ecstasy. And the whole boat was about to tip upside down. So many pastimes with Vallabhacharya and Mahaprabhu. So, in fact, it's very interesting because after the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so much Vallabhacharya gets hammered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vallabhacharya had written a commentary in the Bhagavatam. And again he asked, I've written a commentary which is superior even to the commentary of Sridhar Swami. And Vallabhacharya is the incarnation of Janak Maharaj, Sita's father. So Mahaprabhu said, one who does not accept the Swami, he's a prostitute. Swami means husband. A woman who does not follow her husband, and she's considered a prostitute. In the same way, Mahaprabhu made some joke with him. Vallabhacharya said, I've written a commentary in the holy name. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't know any commentary of the holy name. Holy name is the holy name is Krishna, the holy name is Yasodananda, there's no commentary. So everything Vallabhacharya presented, Mahaprabhu rejected. This is a great mercy. And in fact, in one place it says, Vallabhacharya appeared like a crow amongst the assembly of swans. The swans were the swan-like Paramahamsa devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So externally it seems like Vallabhacharya is being disrespected in Chaitanya Charitamrita by the Lord. This is impossible. Because being disrespected by the Lord, this is a great mercy. Like Advaitacharya disrespected, this is disrespect. This means too much mercy. So when Prabhupada, Bhaktivedan Swami Maharaj went to the Western countries and translated Chaitanya Charitamrita and printed millions and millions of volumes and spread them around the world, then the woman who sponsored his ticket to America on the Jaladuta, she was from the Vallabh Sampradaya. So she was very much distressed. I sent you to the West to preach and you're just preaching against my sampradaya. She wrote a whole letter and Prabhupada nicely answered, word argument by argument. So Vallabhacharya is a pure Vaishnava, we offer pranams in his support. So Vallabhacharya was also there. So Vallabhacharya went to embrace the two brothers. They said, don't touch us, we have become like Muslims. We've become antaja, that means outside the Vedic system of Varna and Ashram. Therefore Rupa Goswami said, I am most sinful, please do not touch me. Vallabhacharya was astonished at their humility. Also he noticed the two brothers were constantly chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was testing them. Oh, Vallabhacharya, don't touch them. They belong to a low caste. You are a Brahmin and a follower of the Vedic principles. You perform many Vedic sacrifices. You belong to an aristocratic family. You should not touch them. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was examining Vallabhacharya. Then Vallabhacharya said, that is impossible. These two brothers are always chanting the holy name. How can they be untouchable? They are most exalted. Aho vata swapacharya gariyamni jivagri vatate namatubhyam taputapas juhuva ajasnada brahmanyan shanam grananti teye kapila devsi. Aho vata swapacharya gariyam. That person who always chants the name of Krishna, that means the name of Krishna dances on the tip of their tongue. That must mean in their previous births, even though this birth they may be born as dog eaters, in their previous births, they have taken bath in all the holy places, they have visited all the holy tirthas, they have performed all Vedic sacrifices, they have performed everything. If there's one who chants the holy name constantly, hey, where's JDK? Haridas, do you want to go and get him? Thank you. Therefore, one who chants, one who's worshipped the deity perfectly for 100 births, that person can chant the holy name constantly. That's what you recommend. Therefore, Gurudev, he would not discourage people from getting deities in the home. But whenever people would ask him, he'd always say, better if you chant more. But still, we are not, without proper deity worship, very hard to chant the holy name. So deity worship is there to encourage our chanting. For example, Mangalati. Pankaj, did you go this morning? Shame.
I was there, but...
No, you weren't.
I was there. I was there, right?
No, you weren't. Shame on him not coming tomorrow. So, despite my big lecture, I also didn't come this morning. That's why I was testing you.
I knew you were not there.
So, the point being, this deity worship is to help our chanting of the holy name. Isn't it? Mangaladi is at 5 o'clock, then you have to wake up, take bath, come to Mangaladi. In Mangaladi you can chant the holy name, then you sit and chant. This is to make us regulated to help our spiritual life. Of course, a high class devotee no need of any deity worship. 24 hours they just chant the holy name. Paramahamsa. We are not Paramahamsa, therefore deity worship is recommended. So, Mahaprabhu quoted a verse. He was very happy to hear Vallabhacharya's first faith in the Vaishnavas. Like Guruji, when Prabhupada first came back from America, he came with Kirtan and Andaswami. At that time, Kirtananda had taken Diksha. He was cooking. No one would eat his cooking. Why? Well, before he was doing this, doing that. Only Guru Maharaj would sit and take his prasad. No, he is taking Diksha in the Sampradaya. Therefore, Gurudev would eat. How much faith Gurudev had? So, Mahaprabhu said a person who has the person who has the pure characteristics of a Brahmin due to devotional service. Devotional service is like a blazing fire which burns to ashes all the sinful activities of past lives. that person is certainly saved from the consequences of a sinful act, such as taking birth in a lower family. Although such a devotee may be born in a family of dog eaters, he is recognized by learned scholars. Therefore, we never judge anyone by their birth. What they were. We should look what they have become. Therefore, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Chapastapa Prana Seva Dehasa Lokanami Varanjana. Hari Bhakti Vilas. Just like ornaments in a dead body give no happiness to anyone, not to the dead body, nor to anyone who sees the dead body. In the same way, Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya, one who is devoid of bhajan or devotion to the Supreme Lord, his chanting of mantras, his high birth, his knowledge of scriptures, and his austerities are likewise useless. So everyone was very happy to see Vallabhacharya's firm faith in devotion and firm faith in Vaishnavas. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami. There was one devotee, Raghupati Upadhyaya, who was also there. Mahaprabhu asked him 4 questions. What is the best form of the Lord? Mahaprabhu asked. And Raghupati Upadhyaya said, Shamameva Paramam Rupam. Which is the best form of Krishna? What is the best form of Bhagavan? Sham Sundar, that is the best form. Of all places to reside, which is the best place? Puri, Madhupuri, Varam. Madhupuri, Mathura Mandal, Vrindavan, that is the best place to stay. Of the many ages of Krishna, baby age, childhood, and youth, which is the best form, which is the best age to meditate on Krishna? Balya Paugando Kishore. Then Raghupati Upadhyaya said, Dhyana Kishore Katkam. Meditation of Krishna as a youth, that is the best meditation. And of all the ways to serve Krishna, which is the best way to serve him is in the conjugal mood. Adeva Parorasa. Adiras, conjugal ras is the best. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard those 4 answers, he became ecstatic, and he made one verse and chanted it again and again. Shamameva paramam purupam puri marupuri varam dhyana kashora vasat kashoraka dhyanam adi eva rasapam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing and saying those verses. Due to the huge crowd in Prayag, Mahaprabhu went to an isolated place that is called Dasamed Vigat. And there he instructed Rupa Goswami in the science of devotion. Afterwards, Mahaprabhu said, this devotion is like an unlimited ocean of nectar. O Rupa, I am giving you one drop. If Rupa Goswami condensed those instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into a book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur made a comment, took the essence of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and made another book that is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Still like Tosi? So, who is Rupa Goswami? Priya Sarupe, Dayati Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajana Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhavaka Rupe, Tadanu Rupe, Swamila Sarupe. Sri Kanapur has written. Priya Sarupe, he is very dear to Sarup Damodar. In this verse you can think Rupa Goswami, all this applies to Rupa Goswami, and another way all this applies to Rupa Manjari. 2 Sarups Rupa Goswami has. One is the servant of Mahaprabhu as Rupa Goswami, and the other one is the servant of Radha Krishna, especially Radhika, that is Rupa Manjari. Priya Sarupa. He is very dear to Sarup Damodar. Daita Sarupa. Radharani is Daita. It was Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daita. One who surrendered everything to Krishna, her name is Daita. So Daita Sarupa. She is the non-different expansion of Radhika. Prema Sarupa. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his love takes a second form, that is Rupa Goswami. Sahajana Rupa. His love for the divine couple is completely natural. Nijana Rupa. His body is also considered the form of the Lord. Prabhu Reka Rupa. He is also non-different than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chatanu Rupa Swabalasa Rupa. His heart is the abode of all Chaitanya Mahaprabhus and all Radha Krishna's pastimes. Rupa Goswami was so much dear to the Lord. When anyone would come from Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu would ask, how are Rupa and Sanatan? How is their bhajan? How are they living? And they would say, they only carry water pots, they wear quilts. They always chant the holy names of Krishna and discuss his pastimes. They dance in ecstasy. Asta praha Krishna bhajan chalidan sayan. Therefore, 24 hours a day they render service to Krishna. Charidanda. An hour and a half a day they sleep. It's not like us. We're awake an hour and a half and asleep the other, 23. Srila Gautamaj would sleep 2 hours a night. Prabhupada, 2-3 hours a night. Always engaged in bhajan. They only sleep an hour and a half, and someday they also do not sleep. Kabul Bhakti Ras Shastra Kori Likan, they sometimes write scriptures. Sometimes they hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, other times they simply remember him. And when people would hear that, they'd say, what is astonishing for one who has the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sometimes they'd kabu chana, kabu mana. Sometimes they would just eat chickpeas, a dry chapati, buttermilk. Sometimes they would not take anything. Like one who's tasted the nectar of the names of Radha Krishna, then what they need from this world. So, Mahaprabhu said to Rupa Goswami, Sunarup Bhakti Rasera Rakshan Sutarup Koi Vishtanoye Vanan. O Rupa Goswami, is not possible to completely describe devotional service. I am giving you one drop. Ete Brahmanda Body Ananta Jivagan. In this universe there are unlimited jivas. How many? Stefan is tired as I am. Even you take one glass of water, how many bacteria are there? Especially Indian water. No one can count, isn't it? If you look in the microscope, how many insects, bacteria in the ocean, in the earth? Billions and billions. Therefore, no one can count the unlimited living entities in this universe. And how many universes there are, J.D.K.? Unlimited universes. Therefore, the souls are very small. If you take one hair, divide the tip of the hair into 100 pieces. And each piece of that hair you divide again into 100 pieces. Then you get some idea of the size of the individual soul. That means one 1,000th. 1/10,000th. The size, the tip of a hair. That is how sukshma, how subtle and how small the soul is. Krishna says, among subtle things, I am a living entity. Sukshmaham apiyaham jiva. So, those unlimited living entities can be divided into two sections. Those that move and those that cannot move. Amongst those who move, there are birds, aquatics, four-legged animals, and humans. Therefore, how many humans there are, J.D.K.? Very few. How many living entities on the earth planet? 8 million or 8 billion already. But there's more living entities in a thimble full of water than the human beings on the earth planet. So how many get the human form of life? Think of it that way, how much we're fortunate. There were those who actually got the human form is tiny, tiny amount. And also, those who have the human form are also divided into so many sections. There's malechas, pulindas, bodes, and hunters. Buddhists are considered subhumans. That's interesting. No Buddhists here? That's good. Buddhists are considered subhumans, uncivilized humans. Wow. Huh? They are atheists. Therefore, malecha means meat eater, but malecha actually means who cannot pronounce Sanskrit properly. Murti. Malecha. Really. Malecha Pulinda, Buddhists, and hunters. Actually, Gurudev would never criticize, but Guru Maharaj would always criticize Buddhism very, very strongly. One time he said Buddhists are worse than dogs. So, amongst the human beings, there's the uncivilized, Canadians, other things like that. And amongst the human beings who are civilized, there's very few. And amongst those who call themselves civilized human beings, most only say by mouth, I follow this religion, I follow that religion, but actually they do not follow anything. Therefore, such people do not care for any regulative principles. They are also considered uncivilized. Actually, if there's one book, hopefully it'll be ready by Kartik. It should be Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Thakur Bhaktivinoda goes into great detail describing all this step by step. And actually, our group, what do we call it again? What's the name of our society? IPBYS.
That sounds like that'd be good for practice,
So, our Sangha has no book for new people, but this Chaitanya Shikshamrita will be that book. Srila Sridhar Maharaj said it's Jaiva Dharma for the Westerners. Like the Jaiva Dharma of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it begins from liberation. Remember the liberated Paramahamsa, his days, or a devotee who felt one drop of prem. So Jaiva Dharma begins from there. But Chaitanya Shikshamrita begins right from the beginning. So, amongst the countless billions of jivas, very few have the human form. Amongst those who have the human form, most are completely uncivilized. Very few are civilized, who accept the Vedic principles. Actually, those who believe in God but do not accept the Vedas, they also be considered atheists. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Because the Vedas are the direct incarnation of the Supreme Lord. One who does not accept that, how they can believe in God? So, and amongst those who say we follow the Vedas, most of them just say by mouth but don't actually do anything. Like 99% of Hindus, right? I believe in Krishna but not doing anything. So, amongst those who follow the Vedic principles strictly, most are called karmis. We say karmi, but karmi is an exalted person. Karmi means they follow the regulative principles given in the Vedas and their goal is the heavenly planets. So, they distinguish between pious and impious activity, that is called karma. Out of many such sincere karmis, there may be one who may be called a jnani, means who is endeavoring for liberation from birth and death. Koti jnana madhya hoy ek jnana mukta. And amongst so many people who are mamukshus, who are aspiring for liberation, there may be only one who is liberated. Koti mukta madhya dulabh eka Krishna bhakta. And out of thousands of liberated souls, one Krishna bhakta will be very rare. Hare Krishna. What's the proof? How many people live in LA? How many? 15 million. Kundalata. Came for breakfast, huh? How many live in LA? 15 million. How many are here? How many are even remotely interested in chanting the holy name? That is very few. So to find a pure devotee of Krishna is very, very difficult, very rare. Guruji used to say. He would go there and he said, find one devotee of Lord Narayan. How rare. Pure devotee of Narayan. But to find a devotee of Narayan is not difficult, but to find a devotee of Ramchandra, that is more difficult. But to find one devotee of Dwarkadish Krishna, more difficult, more rare. To find a devotee of Vrindavan Krishna in the mood of Dasya, how rare. And out of millions of Dasya devotees, to find one in Sakya, that is rare. Out of many those who worship in the mood of friendship, Sakyaras, to find one in the mood of parental affection, Vatsalya, that is rare. And out of millions of Vatsalya devotees, to find one who is worshipping in Madhuri Bhav, Gopi Bhav, that is rare. And out of all those who accept the mood of the gopis, to find the one-pointed devotees of Radharani, the Manjaris, that is even more rare. Sri Guru Maharaj ki. Therefore Krishna Bhakt, Niskarma Taiva Shanti Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Karme Ataiva Ashanti. Kudala is here, I have to watch my Bengali pronunciation. Because the devotee of Krishna has no desire, they are always peaceful. But the other four types of persons have so much desire, therefore they're always full of anxiety, ashanta, disturbed. Who are they? Bhukti Mukti Siddhikari. Bhuktis, they want material enjoyment. Muktis want liberation. The yogis want yogic siddhis. Bhukti Mukti Siddhikarmi. And the karmis want residence in the heavenly planets. They all want something, therefore they are unsatisfied. But someone might say, but the devotees also want something. They want to serve Krishna, therefore they must also be unsatisfied. No. Because they want Krishna's service for Krishna's happiness. Not for their own happiness, therefore the devotees are devoid of material desire. Muktinam apisidanam narayana parayana sudulabha prashantatma kote shapi mahamuni. Same point. Out of millions of liberated souls, to find one, the pure devotee of Krishna, is extremely rare. What is their symptoms? Prashantatma. They are always happy. Dipo Brahmanda Bhavate Konda Bhagavanaji Guru Krishna Prasadapai Bhakti Lada Beach. The living entity is moving this constant cycle of birth and death. Guru Krishna Prasadapai Bhakti Lada Beach. By the mercy of Krishna they get Guru. And by the mercy of Guru they get Krishna. Guru Maharaj would say, we should not think Guru gives the seed of devotion. Why? Because the seed of devotion, Malini, is already inherent inside the living entity. There it's the mercy of Krishna that he made you in the first place, as his servant. Therefore it's Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy, because without Guru's mercy you'll never realize it. Therefore both the mercy of Krishna and the mercy of Gurudev. Also another way of looking at it, Krishna Jodi Kripa Kori Konya Bhagavan Guru Antarami Rup Shiksya Kaman. By the mercy of Krishna you find the spiritual master. Malinhan Kori Se Bijaropan Shravan Kitanajal Kori Chilchan. Therefore, a person receives the seed of devotional service. How the devotee, the sadhak, should become like a gardener. How? He should always water the seed. How do you water the seed? Shravan Kirtanajal, by the water of hearing and chanting. What does that mean? It means you should take pure water. Like if you put salty water on a seed, will it sprout? That means you should hear pure Harikatha, not salty Harikatha. Means that seed of devotion will be nourished by hearing pure Braj Katha from Mahabharata. And of course, what you hear from them, then you'll have to repeat. That is Shravan Kirtanajal. But some people think that means I'll just do my own hearing chanting, No, that means you'll have to go to high-class devotee and hear from them. Upajya Bodhilata Brahmanda Vedayai Viraj Brahmalok Ved Paravyomapai. Therefore the creeper, as the seed sprouts, that first sprout is called Shraddha. Then it grows more. That Shraddha becomes very thick. I will take shelter of Guru. And Guru gives initiation. Then one begins Bhajana Kriya. Shraddha. Bhajana Kriya. Then one begins the activities. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram. Then what happens? Chanting, all our nathas go. This is the growth of the creeper of devotion. He crosses all 16 types of unwanted desires, the 6 types of unsteady devotion, anishtha bhajan. He crosses the 5, after 6 types of anishtha bhajan come 5 more obstacles. Lay, vikshep, pratipati, rasa swad, kosai, I'm not mistaken. Means even after you cross the 6 levels of anishtha bhajan, then comes 5 more obstacles. Chanting, sleeping. Chanting, but mind is distracted. No sleep or no distraction, but not interested. Pratipati, disinterest. Rasa swad, sometimes big waves of material desire come. Then last is kosai, sometimes anger, things like this. You have to cross them, then comes nishtha. Then crossing Nish, that means the creeper of devotion is crossing through the universe. If you chant and while you chant you have material desires, that means your creeper is still in this world. Then you cross the Viraj, that means the Brahmajyoti. When's that? The stage of Namabhas. When you chant, that means when you keep keeping the association of devotees, you cross through the Brahmajyoti into the Vaikuntha planets. And by association with the devotees more and more, it crosses finally the Goloka Vrindavan. And there it takes shelter at the feet of Krishna. Therefore, Tabiyat Tadi Upari Goloka Vrindavan Krishna Charan Kalpavriksh Kori Arohan. Being situated in the heart and hearing and chanting always this creeper of devotion grows more and more. Finally it achieves the lotus feet of Krishna. And then it produces a fruit. Therefore, Raganuga Bhajan, that is this stage, the stage of Ruchi. At the stage of Nishta, one's creeper has already crossed the Brahmajyoti, Namabhas. Namabhas, that is the beginning of the Nishta stage. Then Ruchi means when one realizes one eternal relationship with Radha Krishna and chants according to that relationship. That means your creeper has entered Goloka Vrindavan. Then first comes like a flower, bud, then a flower, then a fruit. So bud is like asakti, and then it produces a flower, ruchi, asakti. Then bhav becomes like a little pumpkin or something, a little mango. Then prema bhakti, that is the real fruit. Therefore, the creeper expands in Goloka Vrindavan. It produces the fruit of love of Krishna. Therefore, although remaining in the material world, the devotee is always situated in the spiritual world. Day and night they remember the service of Radha Krishna according to their Siddha Deha. Even in this world, the devotee remains in the spiritual world. But if one commits offense at the feet of Vaishnava, while cultivating this garden of devotion, what will happen? Guruji would explain like, it's all here now. Very quickly we'll go through. Like when you're watering the seed, there may be many weeds. Those weeds will take the water of hearing and chanting, those weeds will also grow up. What are those weeds? Desire to be worshipped, desire to be famous, and also duplicitous behavior. Kutinata, Jeev Himsa, Mahaprabhu describes all these things, no? Nisidacha means not exhibiting the characteristics of a sadhu. Lying, cheating, stealing money, doing politics, diplomacy. You are sadhu, you are chanting the holy name, but these weeds are there. Kutinata, diplomacy. Jiva Hingsan, causing violence to others. Even though you are hearing and chanting, your devotion is not increasing. Why? Because these weeds are simply growing. And we see sometimes in ourselves, we see in others. So much Guru Seva, so much chanting the holy name. What happens? Only their anatas are growing more and more. But they cannot sit. And their devotion remains stunted, cut. Therefore, devotee must be very intelligent to understand what is devotion and what is not devotion. And who cuts it down? The gardener cuts it down. Guru will not cut your anatas. Gurudev will point out your anatas. And disciples should take them out by his own endeavor. Understand? Gurudev doesn't go around with a magic wand zapping people. In his Harikatha, he will point out your faults. One is sincere, one will realize this is my error, I should stop it, I will check it. So if one does not distinguish between the creeper of devotion and the other creepers, the sprinkling of water also means the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas is misused because the weeds are nourished while the bhakti creeper remains stunted. As soon as an intelligent devotee sees an unwanted creeper growing beside the original creeper, he must cut it down instantly. Therefore, you should take out the weeds. Also, to protect the creeper of devotion, you have to make a fence. Otherwise, goats, chuggles, other things. They come and try and eat a young plant. The same way you should make a very strong fence to keep out Sai Baba. he died, right? I'm going to talk about it in my lectures from now on. Therefore, one should make a very strong fence to keep out yogis, karmis, materialistic persons. That fence is called sadhu sang. So sadhu sang is there to protect devotion. One should remove anarthas. One should constantly water by hearing and chanting. And eventually one will achieve that Krishna Prem, the fruit of love of Godhead. Therefore, ete param param purushata. That fruit of Krishna Prem is called the fifth and ultimate goal of life. Last night we discussed, Mahaprabhu just talking with the Mayavad sannyasis. Yarage trinatulya chali parusata. The taste of love of Krishna is so great, it makes the four goals of life, dharma, artha, karma, moksha, appear most insignificant. Rupa Goswami said, Vidasati braj brajayate satya dharma samadhi brahmanda guru api chamatkaje evatavat yavat premnam madhurupa vasikarana siddho sadinam gandopi antakarana sadani pantatam ne prayati. Beautiful verses. He said, as long as one has not tasted Krishna Prem, then other things in this world will seem guru, means important. Like impersonal liberation, yogic perfections, riddhi siddhis, following of religious principles, dharma. These may all appear wonderful until one has not experienced love for Krishna. Yavat premnam marudupi vasu siddho sadinam. That Krishna Prem is like a medicine. Siddho sadinam. Like Hanuman brought the Aushadhi, the medicine for Lakshman, and when he put it under the nose of Lakshman, Lakshman came to life again. So what is this medicine of Krishna Prem? It controls Krishna. Siddho sadinam. So much it's powerful. Therefore one, Siddho bhakti hoite hoi premu pat utpan. When one is situated in pure devotional service, he develops love of God. Therefore one may be a Suddha Bhakta, doesn't mean he has reached the stage of Bhav. Understand? Some differences there between Suddha Bhakta and Prema Bhakta. There was Suddha Bhakti hoite hoi prem utpan. By practicing Suddha Bhakti, one must reach the goal of Prema Bhakti. Therefore, let me describe the symptoms of Suddha Bhakti. Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavitam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. You know that one? Learn this one today. This is like Gurudev's motto. How many millions of times Gurudev explained this verse? Anya vilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavitam. When first-class devotional service develops, one will be devoid of all material desires. Knowledge, one will be... Better I just... Buddha's translation. So nice. Anyavilasata sunyam jnana karma anyavita. Uttam Bhakti is characterized as that which is not covered by monistic knowledge or by fruitive activity. As Guru Maharaj says, no one can live without knowledge. How did you come here, Kundalata? Did you drive? Oh, slumming it. This also needs knowledge. How to go down the bus, how to pay the driver, which bus to catch. And for knowledge, you cannot be without knowledge. But knowledge should not cover devotion. And you cannot live without karma. How do you get money to pay for the bus? Something doing, some material activity. But that, not that we should be so absorbed in materialist activity that our devotion is covered and we forget. Okay, Subal? Not that 24 hours a day we're only outside moving here and there. Materialistic activity should not cover devotion. We have to make time for our Harinam. So devotion should not be covered by Gyan, should not be covered by karma. And it should be performed in a way by body, mind and words, as well as the cultivation of devotional sentiments, which are performed for Krishna's benefit. not necessarily for Krishna's happiness. For example, Mother Yasoda, she would punish Krishna when Krishna was eating dirt. Then Mother Yasoda would scold him, "Dirty boy, Atadatma, unclean soul. Why you're eating dirt? Don't you know, Krishna, in the dirt is seeds? If you eat the seed will sprout, it will come out through your ears and stomach." How Mother will make the baby understand. Then Krishna is afraid and crying, "Mother, I won't eat any more dirt." "No, no, it's too late, now you've eaten. The tree will come." Krishna is afraid and crying. Why Mother is telling lies to Krishna? Is this devotion? Of course. Guru Maharaj says the highest devotion. She is doing not to make Krishna happy. She is doing for his benefit, so it's devotion. And Guru Maharaj will give a more conventional explanation. When Mother Yasoda was breastfeeding Krishna and the milk was boiling on the stove, she put Krishna down to save the milk. Krishna became very angry. He became so angry he broke the yogurt pot. Why Mother Yasoda made Krishna angry and suffer even though he was hungry, and she went and saved the milk. Even though Krishna was very displeased by Mother Yasoda, "You're saving the milk." This is called devotion because she was saving the milk for Krishna's service. By milk I will make yogurt, paneer, and things like that. Therefore, only that Krishna is happy, this is not the definition of devotion. But the devotion is done with the intention of performing a benefit for Krishna. This is devotion. Also, Charana Mustik challenged Krishna to a wrestling match, to kill him. So as they are wrestling, they are butting heads, butting knees, butting elbows, chest to chest. Krishna was very happy. But the Charana Mustik doing devotion, why are they trying to kill him? Even though they tried to kill him, Krishna felt great happiness in fighting, but it's not considered devotion. So, devotion should be performed by body, mind, words, as well as cultivation of sentiments for Krishna's benefit, not just happiness. This is called Uttam Bhakti. Anyavancha Anyapuja Chari Jnana Karm Anukulya Sarvindriya Krishna Anusilanam. Anyavancha, devotees should not desire anything except Krishna's service. Anyapuja, one should not worship anyone or anything else except for Krishna and his exclusive devotees. Chari Jnana Karam, one should give up jnana or karma. Especially, of course, this does not apply to us so much. One should never worship any demigod. Even Shiva Brahma should not be worshipped. Rishikesh Govinda Seva Na Puji Deva Deva. One who takes shelter of Krishna and worships Krishna, no need to worship anyone else. If he does, it will cause an impediment to his devotion. Even Sri Ramanujacharya said, better to be boiled alive in oil than to chant the name of Shiva. Ramanujacharya. Better to die a horrible death than chant the name of a demigod. Anyavancha, Anyapuja, Charigyanikaram. Once you give up fruitive activity, once you give up speculative knowledge, once you give up worshipping anyone else, Anyavancha, then one should not desire anything else except Krishna's self. I heard years ago they wanted to install a deity of Lord Shiva in this temple to attract the Hindus, collect money. When Gurudev heard, he was so furious, so angry. So, Pancharatik Bhagavad A Lakshana. Anukulya Sarvindriya Krishna Anusinam. One should use all his senses in a way which is favored for Krishna's happiness. All senses. Some guys say, I'm just doing inside devotion. Or outside. This is wrong also. All senses we should use for Krishna's sake. E Sudha Bhakti he hoite prema hoite. This is Sudha Bhakti. And if you do Sudha Bhakti, you develop prema. Pancharat Bhagavad Lakshana. This is all described in the Pancharatrik Shastra as well as the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarvo Parivanir Muktam Tattara Tattavana Vinamam Rishikena Rishikesa Sevanam Uttama Bhakti Uttama. Bhakti should be free from the modes of nature, Sattva Gun, Rajagun and Tamagun. Sometimes we're doing devotion, but it's mixed with Tamagun. Sleeping too much, angry, committing violence on the devotees, or punch a head in if you don't give them more kitchen. These things happen. It's devotion, but it's mixed with ignorance. Sometimes people do devotion, but mixed with passion. How I can become temple president, how I can do this, that. Not hearing and chanting. Sometimes devotion is mixed with goodness. They want peaceful life. If they avoid going to holy places, avoid association with devotees, too many people, too big crowd. So this is devotion but mixed with sattva guna, some impediment. What is the symptom of nirgun bhakti? Madguna sruti matrina mai sarva guhasi manogati ravichana deta ganga sambu ambudo. As soon as one hears the name of Krishna, one becomes absorbed in thinking of him. And the mind runs 24 hours towards him, just like the Ganga runs towards the ocean. Right, Saraswati Giri? Hang in there. So, the devotees never accept liberation even if it's offered. Bhukti mukti adivanchi yadi mani hoy sadan korine prem utpanna lai. If one performs devotion and desires enjoyment or desires liberation, then pure devotion will not awaken in his heart. Bhukti mukti spriya yavat pisachi vivatite tavad bhakti sukhasata katamudo vyogavet. Therefore, desire for enjoyment, desire for liberation are like two witches. If one is hearing and chanting but desires these two things, he cannot taste the happiness of pure devotion. Therefore, gradually by practicing Sudha Bhakti, one comes to the stage of Prema Bhakti. And Prema Bhakti also is of 5 types. That is, Santarati, Dasirati, Sakirati, Vatsalirati, and Madhurjarati. This Prem Rati, to make it easy, we'll call Prem. This Rati is of 5 types. The mood of neutral mood, like the yogis. They meditate on the Lord, on the Paramatma, but they never do anything. Pure devotees. Those in Dasya, they also always meditate on the Lord, but they added the quality of service. Sakya, they have the quality of always meditating on the Lord and always serving Him, but they have the added mood of friendship. Is Chaitanya Shakti still alive? Okay. Sit properly. You should not hold your legs in front of the deity. Also the added bonus, you won't fall asleep in class. Yeah, this is all Rupa Shiksha. Bhakti Ved, Rati Ved, Pancha Prakash, Shantarati, Dasirati, Sakirati A, Vatsalarati, Madhurati, A Panch Vived, Rati Ved, Krishna Bhakti, Ras Pancha Ved. 5 types. The friends of Krishna have the mood of always meditating Krishna, serving Him, as well as the feeling samatha. We are the same as Krishna. Those in the mood of parental affection have all the qualities that have been mentioned before, the aforementioned qualities, as well as Kundalata, were the 2 extra qualities for 5 bhakti points. I thought so. What are the 2 qualities present in Vatsali Ras that are not present in Sakya Ras? That is the feelings of taran and posture. I must maintain and feed Krishna as well as punish Krishna. And Rati, Madhuri Rati, the gopis, they have 1 extra quality. All the limbs of their body they can offer for the service of Krishna in a way that a mother cannot. So, like sugarcane juice, when boiled it becomes molasses. Molasses is boiled, it becomes gur. When gur is refined, it becomes sugar candy. When sugar candy is refined, it becomes lozenge. So, in the same way, Prem develops just as sugar becomes molasses. Molasses becomes sugar. When juice is boiled, it becomes molasses. Molasses is boiled, it becomes gur. Gur is refined, it becomes sugar. Then rock candy, and finally lozenges. In the same way, This prem develops in thickness from Shanti, Shant, Dasa, Sakha, Vatsala, and Madhu. How Mahaprabhu explained that? These are the 5 Mukhya Ratis, the 5 main rasas, as well as there are 7 secondary, which are laughter, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, disaster, vibhats actually means, and fear. These are 7 secondary. The 5 primary and the 7 secondary emotions. Combined, they produce an astonishing thing called ras. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains. Hare Krishna. Anybody with some Kirtan? Like it, including yourself?
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda And Mahaprabhu said, Rupa goes, oh Rupa, I have just given a general survey of the 5 rasas, the mellows of devotional service. You just expand this. So Rupa Shiksha is very small, very quick. Mahaprabhu gave him 1 drop. And from that 1 drop, Mahaprabhu Goswami made an ocean. But how many literatures Rupa Goswami described just from this Shiksha of Mahaprabhu? See Rupa Goswami Pada Ki Jai. Therefore Rupa Goswami, he is the Acharya in charge of Ras Shastra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave each devotee different responsibilities. Haridas Thakur, he was made a Namacharya. the acharya of the chanting of the name of Krishna, Namacharya. Sri Sanatana Goswami was put in charge of Siddhanta. Rupa Goswami was put in charge of Ras, along with Sri Ramananda Roy. Each devotee was given their different variety, their different fields of expertise, their different services. We should also take some responsibility, some service. Okay, Mahaprabhu's not going to make us Dhamacharya or anything, but there's some responsibility we should take in the temple. We should examine our pulse, what responsibility I've taken up in the temple, the service of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dinamanda, what's your seva? Don't tell me, just think. Do you have any seva? Any fixed seva? You live here? Pankaj? Everyone think, really, I am doing or not doing. Guru Maharaj said, those who doesn't take responsibility, that person is an animal. Gurudev used to say. So, Mahaprabhu left. Rupa Goswami wanted to go with him, but Mahaprabhu would not take him. In separation from the Lord, Rupa Goswami fell unconscious. Rupa Goswami Padiki. So just quickly we'll have to start Sanatanship. Otherwise tonight how we'll finish. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is after Vrindavan he came to Prayag, instructed Sanatana Rupa Goswami. After Prayag he came to Varanasi, which is very close, and there he instructed Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami had bribed his way out of jail, and he took with him 8 gold coins and one servant called Ishan. So how to cross the mountains between Bengal and come to Varanasi to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many forest paths. Sanatana Goswami was the Prime Minister of Bengal, therefore he could not take the main highway, he would be recognized instantly. So he came to one innkeeper, and he said, he was thinking, I will bribe the innkeeper and he will take me across the mountains. So that innkeeper had an astrologer. Where's Vidura anyway? Vidura's never here, we want to make fun of him. The astrologer knew everything. He said, a real astrologer, they don't even have to look at your hand. They don't even have to look at your chart. They just look what time you walked in, and from that they can calculate your whole life. Because according to your karma, you were meant to come and meet me at this particular time. Then that astrologer, he said, this man has come at this particular time. Then from there he calculated his astrological chart. Oh, he has 8 gold coins with him. And the innkeeper was thinking, good, nighttime will cut their throat, and I'll take those 8 gold coins. So that innkeeper, to make sure Sanatana Goswami would not leave, that innkeeper was giving him so much affection. Take some paneer, take the rice, don't worry about paying, you just stay here, be happy, you're like my brother. So in Bengali there's a saying, Oti Bhakti Cholaksha. Sign of too much devotion is, if someone gives you too much devotion, this is definitely the sign of a thief. So Sanatana Goswami was vastly intelligent. Sanatana Goswami was thinking, why is he loving me so much? He must have an ulterior motive. Then he asked his sevak, Ishan, Ishan, do you have any money with you? Ishan lied. Yes, I have 7 gold coins, but he had 8. I have 7 gold coins. Then Sanatana Goswami said, fool, this is the cause of our death. You are carrying a poisoned snake. Give that to me. He took the 7 gold coins and went to the shopkeeper. Please, sir, I want to cross the mountains from Bengal to go to Varanasi. Please take these 7 gold coins and guide me across. The shopkeeper became very happy. Thank you, because now I do not have to kill you. If I killed you, a Brahmin, I would become implicated in sinful activities. It's very good that you have voluntarily surrendered the 7 gold coins. He took Sanatana Goswami across the mountains. Then Sanatana Goswami knew that Ishan had said he had 7 gold coins, but the astrologer had said that he had 8. Sanatana Goswami knew he had 1 gold coin. This is very deep, Sri Chirakamaj told us. Sanatana Goswami knew that Ishan had cheated him by 1 gold coin. Therefore, what did Sanatana Goswami do? Ishan, you go home. No need to stay. When Guru sees disciples are not listening, not follow his instruction, Guru disappears. That's when Guru performs his disappearance pastime. At the end of his life, Saraswati Thakur said, I have no disciples. None of my disciples have followed my instructions. No one is listening to me anymore. Then what need for me to stay in this world? For that reason, he left. Why Guru disappears from this world? Disciples not listening, not following. So Srila Chiraka Maharaj told me that thing. He said, that is proof at the end you cannot serve Guru by money. In the last. Otherwise, why Sanatana Goswami sent him? The real Vaishnava Seva is a very high thing. It's by bhav, not just by objects in this world. But still we will have to do. So the Chiraka Maharaj said, in the last, this is proof, in the last you cannot do that seva with money there. So for that reason, because he kept money and tried to cheat Sanatana Goswami cheated him and avoided, and would not take his seva anymore. So, Sanatana Goswami had grown a long hair and beard because he was in jail. Therefore he came to Varanasi. And Mahaprabhu was staying at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. Chandrasekhar Acharya was the one who performed the yagya at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas. So if I'm not mistaken, Sanatana Goswami was related to Chandrasekhar by marriage. Something like that. I'm not mistaken. Some relationship was there. Maybe it says here, if I can find. So Sanatana Goswami, he came to the house of Chandrasekhar where Mahaprabhu was staying. Mahaprabhu had already delivered the Mayavad sannyasis after returning back. So, sorry, I made a mistake. Sanatana Goswami had come and stayed at the house of Shrikant. Shrikant was related to Sanatana Goswami by marriage. He was the husband of Sanatana Goswami's sister. That was the relationship. So, Shrikant told Sanatana Goswami, get it together. Because he had a long hair, long beard. At least stay here for 2 days. You are Prime Minister, you should dress properly. Abandon these dirty garments. Sanatana Goswami said, I will not stay in this house even for a moment. So when he was leaving, Shrikant gave him a very nice warm blanket. And Sanatana Goswami was using that blanket. He came to Varanasi, to the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. Because Sanatana Goswami, we should not think Sanatana Goswami, anyway. So, Sanatana Goswami, he came to the house where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Paramatma, he knows everything. He asked Chandrasekhar, you go outside. There was one Vaishnava at the door. So when Sanatana Goswami, when Chandrasekhar went outside, he saw one Muslim. Still alive there? With long hair and long beard. Then Chandrasekhar Acharya came back and he said, there is no Muslim, there's one Darvesh, Fakir. Understand? Muslim sadhu. Muslims, when they came to India, they changed the names of all the holy places. Vrindavan they called Fakirabad, because there's so many sadhus there. Fakirabad. Therefore Chandrasekhar said, there's no Vaishnava there, one Muslim is there, one Muslim sadhu. Then Sanatana Mahaprabhu said, you call him in. Prabhu tumay bolya oise daravesh, sune ananda sanatan koila pravesh. The Muslim came in. Chandrasekhar said, my dear sir, please come in. The Lord is calling you. When Sanatana Goswami heard that, how much he became happy. As soon as Mahaprabhu saw Sanatana, he ran and embraced him. And he became overwhelmed in ecstatic love, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, Saraswati Devi? Amen. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched Sanatana, Sanatana Goswami became absorbed in ecstasy. He said, Lord, do not touch me, do not touch me. Shoulder to shoulder, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was weeping with Sanatana Goswami. Catching his hand, Mahaprabhu made Sanatana Goswami sit next to him. And Sanatana Goswami said again and again, please do not touch me. And Mahaprabhu said, I am touching you just to purify myself. Such is the force of your devotion. Bhavad vida bhagavata tita bhuta swayam prabhu tita kurvati titana swanta stena garaprita. That verse was spoken by Yudhisthira Maharaj to Vidura. Saints of your caliber purify even the holy places because you carry the Supreme Personality within your heart. Mahaprabhu said some verses. By seeing you, by touching you, and by glorifying you, one becomes perfect. Aksho phalam tadisa darshanam hi, jivo phalam tadisa kirtanam hi, jiva phalam tadisa Tano phalam tadisa gatra sangahat sudulabha bhagavata hiloka. O Vaishnava Thakur, seeing you as perfection of the eyes, glorifying you as perfection of the tongue, touching you as perfection of the body, but sudulabha bhagavata hiloka. Such Mahabhagavad is very rare in this world. Therefore, you are very fortunate, Sanatana. Mahaprabhu saved you from the hellish planet called Rorav. Sanatana Goswami said, I don't know anything of who is Krishna. As far as I'm concerned, I'm released from prison only by your grace. How are you released from prison? And Sanatana Goswami told the history. Thus, I met your brother Rupan and Anupam. They have gone to Vrindavan. Thus, he asked Sanatana Goswami to become clean. Therefore, Prabhupada used to say, everyone who lives in the temple, they should not have like long hair. Where's Anupam? Really, we should be a little strict. You know? If you want to live, you live outside, you do whatever you want. If you live in the temple, then there's some rules and regulations. You know? Where's Pran? Where's Pran? Pran, can you hear? There he is. Okay, Mahaprabhu said, if a Prabhupada came here, everyone who wants to live in the temple have to shave a head, no beard, all these things. And don't they shave their hair once and then they ever shave it again for the next 50 years. So Mahaprabhu, as soon as he saw Sanatana Goswami, he asked him, you should become Bhadra. Bhadra means beautiful. It means shaved and some clean cloth. So even though therefore Sanatana Goswami shaved off his hair and beard, Chandrasekhar offered him some very nice cloth. Sanatana Goswami would not take. He took one old dhoti of Chandrasekhar, ripped it in half. Half he wore here, half he wore around his neck. Then he went and took bath. But when he came back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doing? Again and again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was looking at his blanket. Again and again. So, his nice blanket, the woolen blanket given by his, what's it called, brother-in-law, Srikant. So Chaitanya Sanatana Goswami could understand by the hint of the Lord, he is not pleased by my woolen blanket. This is hypocrisy. I am a sadhu, but carrying a woolen blanket. We should not be hypocrites. Or I am a sadhu, red cloth, in the bank I have 100,000 bucks, 200,000 bucks. This is bogus. If you're going to be a sadhu, do it properly. A sadhu should have nothing. Oh, what you need just to survive, that thing you keep. But I'm accumulating millions of dollars, sticking in the, what's it called, fixed deposit, living off them. These are not sadhu lives. I remember when Gurudev came, one lady was opening a new house. In Vrindavan. She had built this 3-story like mansion. Oh, I remember what Gurudev said when we went there. I'll never forget. Gurudev's so awesome. He was sitting there and everyone was like, Gurudev, house warming. And Gurudev said, this is living in Vrindavan. This is not Brajabas. Goswamis, how they did Brajabas, living under one tree. But I have hundreds of thousands of dollars, sticking the bank, taking the interest. This is not Brajabas. And everyone was like, anyhow, we are not Goswamis, we cannot live like that. We live under a tree every day, how long will we live for? After a few days we'll die. Prabhupada said, in this age of Kali Yuga, we cannot do that type of bhajan like the Goswamis. The Goswamis had completely spiritual bodies. Therefore they could exist without eating or drinking, without any cloth, without anything. We are not like that. But still, at least some effort should be there. Some simple life, especially those who red cloth. Srila Bhaman Maharaj said there are hypocrites who have red cloth, they have enough money, more money than the grihasta, but they're living in the mud. These persons are like hypocrites, like diseases, like a plague on the Gaudiya mud. So at least we're living in the mud, we're taking advantage of the mercy of Guru Gauranga. We should not keep anything separate. Guru Maharaj would always stress, you keep separate, this is like poison. Everything we have, that what you need, you keep, but anything extra, you should give. Especially brahmacharis who are living in the mud. Everything they have, they should surrender. When they need anything, then they go, please Prabhu, I need toothbrush. I need this. Guru Maharaj said, this is brahmacharya. One time, Gurudev was with one of Gurudev's god brother, Sri Narahari Maharaj, that is the uncle of Srila Bhaktivedan Goswami Maharaj. Narasingha Maharaj, the uncle of Srila Bhaktivedan. They went collecting, Gurudev, and they collected 150 rupees. That time, 150 rupees like a small fortune. Then Gurudev, Param Guruji asked Gurudev, how much you collected? Gurudev, we collected 150 rupees. Oh, very good. Then Srila Nrsimha Maharaj came and gave Param Gurudev 125 rupees. Then Param Gurudev, he said, where's the other 25 rupees? And Nrsimha Maharaj, because God brother, he became angry. Oh, why do you think we don't have to get transport? We have to go here, we have to go there. He became angry. He threw the money on the floor. Then Param Gurudev, he stood over, he picked up the 25 rupees and gave it back in his hand. And Nrsimha Maharaj said, why are you doing that? If you wanted me to keep the money, you should have let me keep it. Param Gurudev said, no, this money is poison. People give you donation, it's like poison. I have the power to drink that poison, you do not have that power. So I'm taking, then I give back. So Gurudev would always do that. We would give everything, and Gurudev said, you need anything? Yes. How much you need? Oh, Gurudev, I need that. Gurudev would give that. So if we live in the mud, really we should always be thinking like that. This is pure. You give to Pran thinking, oh, Pran, I know doesn't take 1 rupee for himself. I think Pran is like that. So everyone should live in the mud, do properly, then this mud will be successful. So, Sanatana Goswami, the point is Sanatana Goswami had given up everything, but he kept his nice blanket. And therefore Mahaprabhu was always looking at the blanket. Sanatana Goswami could understand, he is not satisfied by me. Therefore what did he do? Sanatana Goswami went again to the bank of the river, and there was one old yogi who had a kanta. These many old cloths sewn together. Sanatana Goswami said, you give me that old rag, and I'll give you my blanket. Then the yogi cried, please don't make fun of me. No, I am serious. And the yogi was happy. He took the new blanket and gave his old one. And when he came and Mahaprabhu saw the old blanket, Mahaprabhu became full of happiness. And therefore, Mahaprabhu Bhaktigan Vairagya Pradhan Dahadaki Tusti Hoy Gaur Bhagavan. Renunciation is the main symptom of the devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees it, he becomes very, very happy. Pankaj, you already gave up everything. You're becoming again Hollywood Baba. Remember the blanket? You carry that blanket the rest of your life, that's up to you. No? So, but we should not think Guru and Krishna are very happy when they say these things. No? What's a wool blanket of the Supreme Lord? With that Bhav Grihichanat and that mood, I'm giving up everything. Mahaprabhu saw that, Mahaprabhu accepted that. So, I hammered everyone. I'm not just hammering everyone, I'm also hammering myself, my own stupid mind. That is my fault also.
Next time we should come with a hammer.
One time, I won't tell the whole history. I was in San Francisco. Someone was living with a woman and not married, so I gave a whole class on that. Result, the whole family hated me for the next 10 years. So someone complained to Gurudev, and Gurudev said, you said this, you said that. Yes, he said, then he said, very good you said, but do like me, don't say the name. There was one person, I won't mention his name, but he's sitting in the front row. He's from That is one personal instruction, but I always forget that is my own mistake. Guru says, don't say the name. You say everything, but don't say the name. Everyone will understand what you mean. So that is my mistake. You forgive me for that. Old habits die hard. Go Premanande! So tonight is Sanatan Shiksha. Very, very philosophical. Sanatan Rupa Shiksha is not philosophical. It's just nectar from beginning to end. But Sanatana Shiksha describes completely this Bhagavad Tattva, Krishna Tattva. So tonight we'll do Sanatana Shiksha, some of it, then tonight we have to speak about the ecstasies of mind. We discussed it, but not in deep. What can you do? There's a limit. So Madhurena Samapi, at this last Antilila, I want to speak that. Tomorrow morning also we can do. No. We'll discuss that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Premanandi, Sri Guru Maharaj ki jai, Sachidanand Gaura Hari ki jai, Sri Param Dayal Sri Rup Sanatan Maharaj ki jai, Go Premanandi.
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye.